Hey y'all, it's Ellen.
And I'm Sam.
Last year, we started Journeys of Self-Discovery and Healing. And now, we're bringing you along.
This is Woo New, the podcast.
Welcome back to our third episode of our Reiki mini-series. Today, we are interviewing Mei Leung, who is a Reiki master and sound healer in New York. And Mei has a really interesting practice where she is at the Montauk Salt Caves, and it's a mixture of halotherapy, which is breathing in salt air, mixed with Reiki and sound healing, where she uses bowls and tuning forks. And both Sam and I got a chance to experience her magic, which was super therapeutic and healing when we were up there in New York.
Yeah, she found the magic trifecta. It was so relaxing, and the experience was unlike anything I've ever had. I know I keep saying that, but this really was. I mean, going to the salt caves in themselves were just so mind-blowing, and the halotherapy combined with the sound waves while she's doing Reiki, it really relaxes you and like helps the energy flow, moves anything that's congested in a way that I don't know if I've ever experienced before.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I was going into that session kind of hungover. We had been out partying pretty late the night before.
Yeah, I forgot.
And, my head wasn't right. My stomach was not at its best. I think after leaving that session, which was only an hour, it was almost like a complete 180. Like I just felt so much lighter. My headache was gone. My stomach felt looser and kind of at peace, I guess.
Yeah, I felt like I was floating on clouds when we were walking down the street afterwards. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, so there's definitely something to it. And it's been really amazing getting to know her better through this whole process. And I feel really grateful that she's part of our community now, our daughter's community.
Yeah, she's so talented. She's so kind. We're so honored to have had this experience with her and to like even know her, because she's brought us so many gifts, and she's changing the world with what she does, honestly, because she makes Reiki accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
She's so real and she's so authentic, and it's a totally different take on the Reiki practice that I think can really open a lot of doors for people.
Yeah. And she really found it because she was looking for something to help with her mother's diabetes.
Yeah.
Her mother has type 2 diabetes, and she just really wanted to do something to help ease her discomfort and her pain and really help her go through that process and heal too. So her mom became kind of her guinea pig, and just seeing her journey through it and the improvements that her mom has been making because of her practice, it's pretty phenomenal. And so we're really excited to introduce Mei and her amazing gift to you.
Hi, my name is Mei Leung, and I do Reiki and sound waves. So I integrate Reiki with sound bowl therapy. For right now, I do it in a salt cave, and I feel like it's a great trifecta of goodness that you're experiencing, like halotherapy, and then I'm working with Reiki and sound bowls on your body and around your body, along with other instruments.
How did you get into Reiki? I remember when we talked on the phone, you had a really interesting personal journey of how you even got into it.
So my mom is like a type 2 diabetic. So, she takes a lot of meds, but, dosage, especially being Asian and their petite, medicine reacts differently. Mm-hmm. So, you can really go too much and then your body just rejects it, or it's just too much for them. And again, we're in the society where it's like, take a pill for this, take another pill for that. Your pill box is full of not only supplements, but other like meds that you have to pay an arm and a leg for.
Absolutely.
So then I started to decide, like, let's look into something holistic, or something that is, it's not impactful in a way that's detrimental for her. It's like it's all good. And that's how I kind of came across the Open Center, which is in New York, and they had Reiki. So I started that with my teacher, and it was Reiki 1, and I was like, whoa, this is really like crazy. And it was an intense weekend. This is the only school that I know of that is actually certified by the New York State. So it's not like just like a weekend class where you come into somebody's living room and then you do it and you get a certificate. Like there's work to be done. Wow. So you have to spend, I think, for them, it was a full year. So you have homework and it was like a weekend.
But that's Reiki 1.
That's Reiki 1. It's a Reiki 1, which is a weekend. But then to get certification, you have to do the hours, and it's a full year to do the hours. And you have to write a synopsis, and then you submit it to your teacher.
That's official.
Yeah, and that's super official, which I found that was much more credible than a lot of other practitioners that, and that's the thing. For me, I feel like I'm a doer and not a teacher. Even though I got up to the Reiki master level, I mean, for me, I could barely get my own bearings. That for me to go teach someone else, it's because I find this is a very personal journey, So then I went Reiki 1. At that time, that was about 2010, 2011. And I was like seeing like how this really is like, this is something to it, but again, at the beginning stage, it's almost like watching a little spark, you could feel like there is a little something, but I think the more you kind of get exposed to the energy work, the more like stronger it gets. So then from there, I started to dabble into Reiki 2, which is then you start to learn about remote Reiki, and you're doing this, and and again, your group setting, and then you're, in these classes with other people. And at that time, you're like an open vessel. So I had a practitioner in there that was having a really bad weekend, and I, in that time, you're still thinking like, is there something to be said about this or not? But I am very sensitive. So what happens is that we are exchanging, because somebody's like, this person needs a partner. I partnered up with this person, and I could feel the energy that was emanating from that person. It was giving me such a headache.
Wow.
So that's when I'm like, whoa, this is super trippy. So not only am I just a receiver, the other person is a transmitter, like, and then you're thinking, is there a good or bad, but I just got an intense like headache. So then, you go back and talk to my teacher about it, and she started to work on me, and, and that was the thing. Like, I think everybody has that energy, but it's how you hone it and how you can like really kind of filter off and not transfer to other people. And that's something that, I don't think everybody teaches that. No. So that scared me a bit. And then I took a step back from it, even though so then I went back. Reiki 2 was like 2 weekends. And from there, it took me a while from between Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. And then I was like, okay, then it turned me back on again. And then I went back to Reiki 3. So by the time I fully got certified, and that's a 2-year process for Reiki 3, which is, I think it was 4 months or a 4 months program. So it's 4 months with 4 weekends.
Oh, wow.
And then you have 2 years to complete the process of working on people, and you're doing it, so you're having to find a place that you're actually able to do the Reiki on clients. So then you build that practice, and it's a great network, and it's a lot of like meeting people, and and again, like this, you meet so many different types of people, and again, like how do you differentiate the woo-woo kind of thing to trying to make this more mainstream? Like this is more of like a normal thing. I don't have to have my head in a turban. Like I can be a normal person and just be like, I do this. And that's how I approach that, and that's hard. Like I feel like I'm one of the outliers. I don't have the get up of like the posh. I'm not the the posh person that's like Instagrammed out there with all of that stuff, So it's very interesting, and trying to meet and connect with other people. So that's how I started, and that's how I kind of fell into it, because my mom, by Reiki 3, she had a really bad fall, with her diabetes, and also because I think the sugar does things to your memory and stuff like that. When I started to incorporate Reiki onto her, because she had a really bad face plant, 2 black eyes.
Oh, no.
And so I started to notice, because it happened on a Friday, and we worked religiously throughout the day, through the entire weekend. So it went from your dark circles straight through to yellow in 3 days. So that's how I feel like, wow, this stuff really works. No scabbing. And then, it just cleared from there.
How long did you work on her every day?
I worked like 15 minutes, but like maybe every couple of hours, because she was not feeling well. you know, and then all of a sudden, like for me, I think, you know, there is something to be said for Western medicine. There's something to be said for exercise, you know, but it's all up to the individual. I think Reiki, sound therapy, all these other things is to enhance your well-being. You can't replace your meds, your doctors, or all this other, with just this. Because if you're going to eat crap, then you're just still going to feel bad. Maybe you feel great for that moment because you enjoy the sound, you enjoy the Reiki, but everything comes together, you know. So I just think that you can't take one without the other.
And everything's energy too. So if
Absolutely.
you're putting bad energy through bad foods, then you're just like reflecting that back out. So.
Totally. You can't eat a burger every day and just expect that, oh, your body is just going to maintain like a perfect fit, you know. So that's when I noticed. And even then, like for my mom, you know, she's an old Chinese lady, like who knew? But apparently then when we started doing this, she started to feel the benefits of it.
Wow.
Literally, like, you know, my dad passed away a few years ago, and that mindset was like, it's almost my time, it's my time, it's my time. So starting to incorporate this, you know, I could start to sense, like, you know, she started to get an uplift. And she's my guinea pig. You know, she's my client, you know, that I can see how things work. I can see, like, with edema, the feet, I can see how the blood really moves. Because if you're diabetic and you don't exercise well, like, and your body is
your
not,
circulation
is
cuts
poor.
Off,
Correct. So with the sound therapy, with the bowls, with the Reiki, I could see everything, like,
physiologically
being normal, which is why it's like literally, like, I feel like it's the other tool that you can have outside of Western medicine that I think for everybody's benefit, that it's helpful, even for your own self. Like occasionally when I feel like, okay, I'm really stressed out, I do Reiki on myself just to calm down, and that helps, you know. And it's just all about breathing, deep breathing, and all of that, just like your environment, your water, you know, all of that. You do Reiki on that, you know, and when I can, I put the big bowl on myself. It just helps me relax.
So cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Was your mom receptive to Reiki when you first brought her this idea?
She didn't know about it at first, but then all of a sudden she started to see, like, her head doesn't hurt. Like if she started to have a headache, she does ask me to put my hands on her head.
Wow.
So
And she does feel it. Yeah, she feels like it's less throbbing.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, so that's really why, like, I do this. And then it's like when I started to do it on my mom, and I started to do it on some friends, and then I was like, this is like amazing. I have to get this out there. But then at that time, it wasn't so open, you know, and people don't really get it. Like, where do you go? Like, for you to rent a room, because that's what you do, because as a practitioner, you rent by the hour. So where are you going to find a space, you know, so that you're not having to pay monthly if you don't have a full-on practice? So it's very hard because there's not really that network out there of a space or, like, you know, a shared community for that. It's still not there, you know.
I think that's really interesting because a lot of the women that we've spoken with, especially with Reiki in particular, almost all of them have a different practice full-time, and very few of them actually talk about the fact that they practice Reiki as a therapy, and everyone who finds them for Reiki finds them through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like a very persistent trend I'm realizing, which is actually even more interesting about, like, what are these perceptions that people have about energy healing and what it means physiologically for your body.
Totally.
I think people are seeing more sound where Reiki is still there, but I think it's still a little, like, under the radar. It's hard. Like, people that I go to my own healer, but there's no context of what she is. I just go to her so that she helps me just move stuff, because I meet so many people in the cave, just because, again, there's 13 chairs, however many that's there, times how many times I'm there a month, I meet a lot and I exchange a lot of energy. Like, you know, it's definitely a two-way street. So I need to get flushed occasionally, you know. So she couldn't, when I met her, she doesn't tell me what to expect, you know. So I just have to, I experience, and then that's how I know what she's about. But I think that's like any Reiki practitioner out there, there's no context of what it is, because you might experience different feelings than you, and some people see things, some people feel things, or you have things that come up later on, like dreams, visions, or like symbols or whatever. So it's different for every person, and every experience at every situation is different. Like you're doing it today, but maybe a month from now you'll have a totally different experience.
This is the one thing that through like different conversations, and Sam's going through Reiki 1 right now.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just got attuned. So
Yay.
And I've done like Reiki 1 and 2 now.
Yeah.
But the very different than what you were describing, like it was like a single weekend, you know, and so now it's up to me to like practice it and hone in. And we had a long conversation about like, is this measurable? Like what exactly is Reiki? And it's been very difficult to get a singular description of what it is, except for it's the universal life force, but the practice itself is so individualized, which is fascinating about it, Everybody's a snowflake, right? Everybody's different. And so,
totally
you put your
different.
energy into it.
And I think that's the thing. Like you find certain people that you resonate with, and that's what kind of really makes it stronger. Like sometimes when you're in a group setting, there might be some people, like if you had that weekend, you might exchange partners, but then some partners you feel like, wow, I can feel that energy right there. It's instant. Some others are just a bit of a slow burn and that's just what it is, but I think that the more you do it, sometimes it's more quick. Yeah. But still, for me, I'm like, I am like Reiki. I'm a slow burn. It takes me a long time, but then like once that fire is lit, it just goes,
As you have progressed your practice, and it's been 6 years now?
About
6 years?
6 or 7, but like full on, like the last couple of years has been like, it's just more and more and more.
How has your practice evolved? Or like how does your your relationship to energy, how has it changed?
I'm more comfortable with it. So whereas in the past, it's more like, oh, I do this, but like now it's like, this is what I do. Come and try it out. Still, I have some friends that we're friends, but they're not friends enough to come to the cave because they don't know what to expect.
And there's a little fear there.
There's a little bit, I don't know, it's fear or just maybe it's just like, they don't understand it, and I don't push, So it is what it is.
Yeah, we've heard a lot and experienced quite a bit actually that the Reiki finds its way to you.
Correct.
I mean,
that's
and like
perfect.
Even our journeys with Reiki have been so different. Like Reiki was the first experience that I had where I walked away and I was like, okay, energy healing is real. It was so crazy. I saw like wild colors and I was like, I have no idea what just happened, but something insane happened. But I wasn't ready to learn it when Ellen was ready to learn it, and I think I needed more time to understand like what does it mean as a tool for me in my personal life, and why do I need it, and like then it came back around again organically as things do, and I was like, okay, now I'm ready to and I understand like why I want to be grounded and why I be able to center myself and be able to practice on myself whether or not I advance into these other stages. But a lot of people, because there's no way to sort of like cleanly fit it into a box of like, this is what this healing practice is, we've found like a lot of people are not open to it at all.
They dismiss it.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you pushed it, they might not experience anything because it only works if you're open to it.
That's true. And so nowadays, even, like a few years ago, trying to get it out there more, I started to investigate like where they actually offer it. I started to do volunteer work for Cancer Thriver Network.
Wow.
And that's
so
where
cool.
It really resonates for cancer, like pre-treatment, because my teacher actually had breast cancer, so she did it pre-op and post-op, and her recovery was much faster. Then I started to network and find this community is called You Can Thrive, that also hospitals. Like there's a lot more now in the medical field that the nurses take Reiki.
We were just talking about that.
Crazy. And in surgery, there's
surgery, so that your recovery time, when you're calm and you're going into surgery, and I just did it for a friend of mine, her mom was going in for surgery for cancer, that she was resting well and her blood pressure was well and she recovers faster. Like, why not?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's not something that's harmful.
Right.
it's just energy, and it's just something to prepare you for like something that's life-saving, you know. But if you're nervous about going in under the knife, this is a really like quick remedy, you know. And so I think hospitals are incorporating it a lot more, especially for cancer like wings when they have for chemo or for radiation, and I think it helps the person.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the other things that I've started volunteering at, that, you know, all these women that are just either recovering or they're in remission and they still have that need for kind of care.
Yeah.
And this is self-care. It's, you know, if you don't care about yourself to relax, everything comes back, you know. So this is one way of calming the mind and calming the body, that it helps, you know. So I just don't think that right now we're there. Like now it took us how long to get acupuncture even legitimized, you know?
And that was exactly what triggered our conversation about it, because I was like, well, can you test it? Like, are people testing? And, you know, we went down a whole rabbit hole with this too, with this like energy psychology, but
check their hospitals. There's one in New Jersey, I think, I forget what the name of it is, but they have like cancer, like Reiki cancer partnerships, like they have, they do that.
And Ellen was telling me this, in the hospitals that people were, and I had no idea. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
That was the thing.
Well, that it always brings me back to that Netflix documentary Heal, where there was a woman that they kind of interviewed, and she was going through cancer, and she didn't do Reiki specifically, but she had a spiritual, I guess, therapist while she was doing her chemo before, and they were telling her that you know, she would have like 4 rounds of chemo. It was like stage 4 something, and she ended up having 1 and going straight into remission, and she attributes a lot of it to the spiritual energy kind of healing that she received in conjunction with. So that's what I love about what you said about it amplifies your healing. It's not a replacement, you know, but it's a really powerful and obviously very legitimate.
It should be. I mean, I just feel like one does not replace the other. I just think that if you're coming in with a sound mind, you know, that's where it's really important, is that you don't fully think that this is going to be the cure-all.
Right.
That's the important thing. Right. So you have to be sane, you know. It's not something like, you know, magic. That it's not magic. It is magic, but it's not like magic. It's not unicorn and fairies. Right. I mean, it makes you feel good. That's the important thing. As long as you feel good, you can face anything. You know, and that's pretty much the bottom line. You know?
So how did you start integrating sound, and then how did you find halotherapy?
Well, so sound really, just because I was like, okay, I'm at that level, but I'm not going to be a teacher. Like, I'm not a teacher. Just because I've been in those classes, you meet a lot of people in those classes. If you know what that means. And I'm like, I just don't know what to say, you know? I mean, like, some of those things, it's like, no, snap out of it, you know? But I just figured, okay, let's try this. Let's see what else I can test on my mom. So again, that's where sound therapy came, you know. And then I started one class. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And of course, you know, the pitches, you got to buy these bowls. And of course, I'm like, okay, I'll buy it, you know, because it really is amazing. You know, I'm like, but that's the thing. If you have to be money in the pocket enough to sink yourself into that, because it's not a cheap practice.
No.
And you go to other people and you're looking on these things, and again, every bowl resonates with you. You know, just because there are bowls out there and they're cheap or they're really expensive, that doesn't mean, like, you know, you're giving the markup to whoever's selling it. So it's, again, trying to find like that industry that is not going to jack it up just because now it's like the hot thing, you know, and that's really challenging. But I found my first set, and, you know, you go for the first one, tested it out, and I was like, oh, wow, you know, it really, like, she loved it so much that she broke my first bowl, my mom, because she was like, she's literally, I was going to die. The big one, that was my second one, because she didn't know how to use it. She was using the wooden handle to, like, beat on there, and I was like, literally, I'm in the front of the house, at the run to the back. She loved it that much. But
so she's doing it herself.
She was doing it herself, but it can, like, when you're hitting it wrong, it can break, it changes the tone.
Totally.
So that's when I noticed, like, and I'm like, God, the tone changed. So I had to go back and get another one. But by then, like, already I'm into like level 2, you know, where they give you something. But that's more of a practical PowerPoint thing, and you don't really have that much immersion into the weekend. So a lot of that is you have to buy the tools and you have to practice.
And you have to just know what you
and
have
you
to
just
get in touch with experiencing what
exactly.
you experience.
Or it becomes intuitive.
Right.
And that's the thing, like when you do Reiki, there's a lot of things like people are like, oh, do you see where my problems are? And that's like a slippery slope, you know? Some people are very intuitive, you know, but again, some other people can just be guessing, you know? But I think I can't tell you. I mean, I can feel things, but I don't see things, you know? And other people might just know, like, oh, I know you're having that issue. But again, if you're in a group setting, you have 45 minutes.
Right.
I don't have time to guess where your pain is,
Right.
you know? But again, if you're somebody that you're seeing constantly, you build a rapport, then you know, or you kind of get a sense of that person. Nothing is magic right out of the box. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people kind of like become superly attached to, like, oh, you're a Reiki master, so you should know where my feelings are.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
have some magical or mystical power. Or
correct. You know, and it's no, I'm a normal person. I just have a skill that I'm very in tune with, that I know it resonates with certain people. You know, and that's the thing. You have doubters, but then all of a sudden when they feel it and they're like, oh, either they become a little scared of it because they've never experienced that before, or they become believers, you know, and then they come back, you know.
Can you describe the class that you teach, or the sessions?
The sessions, yeah. So pretty much you're in a group setting. You're in a salt cave in the East Village, and you can walk right by it and not notice it. But like once you go through those doors, it's 14 tons of Himalayan rock salt, ceilings, walls, floor, and they're all like leather recliners. There are 13 of them. So you go in there, take off your shoes, and you have blankets. You can go in and get cozy. There are LED lights above you, so you can just literally chill out. They have normal sessions without any practitioners, but then every day of the week there's always somebody. But everybody's different. So just as I'm a Reiki person, but I'm a different Reiki person than you might be, and like everybody has their own different specialness, you know. So when you go in there, you normally sit down. My session would be everybody sits. I go clockwise. I use my large sound bowl and I run it from head to toe. Go to the next person, the next person.
And you set it on top of them?
And that I just do it above their body first. Then I come back, and then I do Reiki, and then we chat, figure out what's your issues, and then I perform my Reiki. I do some tuning forks. Then I go to the next person. Then I come back around, and then I put the big ball on your body. Then I alternate. So then between the next person, so I do, depending if somebody has, they want to open up the heart, so that's a perfect place because the big bowl will then resonate, and it just really goes from the center all throughout your body.
It's the coolest feeling. I had experienced it once, like a ginormous, it was a crystal bowl, and a metal one, but oh my goodness, the vibration that you feel is just
it just goes out and it emanates.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So then from there, if somebody has digestion issues, I put it on their abdomen, and that helps. Like it'll help unblock, you know, literally. And this is the good thing about the practice between Reiki and the sound is that Reiki, I make people poo. Like, you know, you sleep well and you go to the bathroom, you know.
Instant results.
That's true. And they're like, that's what I do. So with that, the next person I do the sound bowl. I hover it below the bottom of your feet. So then it goes from the bottom up to your head. And then, you know, so then I alternate. Just because it's heavy, and so I get to rest a bit, you know. So you have the chest, the feet, the chest, the feet. So I go around the room.
So then everybody gets a chest and a foot.
You're going to get both, but I alternate so that everybody, you know, because I've been to a session before just to make it not just like I do everything on one person and then I go to the next person. So it's all throughout the whole session. So your body's taking on the sound from everybody.
Very
Literally,
cool.
you just sit there and you do nothing, and you just kind of, your body will take on the sound that it needs. So even if I'm not working on you, you will still hear the sound that's coming in, and that sound will still resonate with the cells in your body. Yeah, it totally does.
And I'm sure also being in a group setting, like the energy of all the other individuals also kind of feed into.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's not like sometimes you think that would be worrisome. I mean, some people, unfortunately, they get so relaxed, they snore. That's the only downside. You would hear snoring, and there's not much you can do about that because, they're so relaxed. You kind of gently touch them and just to wake up a bit, but that's the only downside that I can say that happens. But I've only had one little lady that was coming in.
So cute.
She was so cute. She was the Mexican lady and didn't speak a word of English, but she came like 3 weekends in a row because that helped her sleep. And her family came in, and then she had to move. She went back down to Mexico City, but she was super cute. But
what does the explain halotherapy to us, because that's actually a new concept that we have not experienced before.
So literally the way it works is it's salt air being piped in. Like, so you literally, if you wanted to, you can lick your clothes, it'll taste like salt.
Wow.
So all my clothes, by the time I'm done, it's salty, so as you're sitting in there, you're breathing in the salt air. It's like you're at the beach. How the hair gets a little bit textured. That's what happens, But then your sinuses tend to get a little bit clearer. You breathe better. And that was one of the things. A lot of people come in if they're sinuses or they have allergies. By that time they're done, I also use tuning forks because sometimes the tuning forks with the gemstone feet, I can rub that around your sinuses, and that helps with the vibration of the tuning fork. That'll help ease some of that. So you get the air, the tuning forks with the gemstone feet that vibrates, it shakes things up. So I either put it on your neck, on your shoulders and things like that. I have a crystal tip one that I put on your crown and your third eye, rose quartz one I put on your heart, and then if there's enough time, there's a green aventurine one that I put on the bottom soles of your feet. So you get a full-on body massage with the tuning forks, with the bowls, and then we end off with the koshi chimes.
So does the breathing in of the salt air, is it more of physiological
release? Yeah.
Okay.
But it does impact your breathing, so you do see a difference before and afterwards. I mean, there are definitely naysayers who are like, oh, I didn't feel a thing, but that's in each person's reaction to it is different. Some people, maybe it resonates better than others. Some people live by they put a salt lamp by their bedside, and that it helps them sleep better. And again, that's individual. I actually have a salt little base that I put my feet on, so it's very calming. And that helps for me. But everybody has their own little thing. Yeah. There's no set stone, this is how you're going to feel, and that's the good thing about it. Reiki is sometimes you resonate more, and maybe another time you're feeling it's more of a slow burn, but for sure there is energy. You get dehydrated, you tend to pee a lot, so right after a session you're in the bathroom, that's good because you're moving the energy. And the only reason why I know that the energy is moving, I go back to my mom, I could see her feet that were swollen is no longer. And that's the only, way is that I know that it's because the blood is moving, because she's very sedentary, so she's not hiking and walking a mile a minute. That's the only reason why I know is that with the bowls, with the Reiki, that's the only exercise that she really gets along with me, So
that's amazing. What type of issues do you see mostly? Are there trends?
No, I mean, I think most people, clearing the mind, slowing the mind chatter, opening the heart. Some people come, if they're going there specifically for the salt, it's for allergy or sinuses, for their lungs. A lot of people go for grounding, for that. It's different. I just think whatever you go there, it's just showing up. If you want to go in, then you test it the first time, and then you're okay, then you people come back. The first time some people do it, they might be on a high for a while, for 2 weeks. And then you do this as a maintenance, but there's no recipe of saying I have to do this every week, but again, it's a cost, and it's also what resonates with the individual. There's no perfect prescription. It's whatever applies and whatever works for you. And that's why it's free. It's not great for me to just say, if I go there, it's only one person shows up, I'm happy. That's fine. Like, we do exchange, and that's great, Should it be more? Of course, But I think for me, it's like, I love this. This makes my soul happy.
Yeah.
So the more I am able to engage with other people, it makes me happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And I'm so grateful that you guys are here and you're coming to a session tonight. Love hearing your feedback afterwards, just because it's so different, and I was like, I know it works, but I'm like, did it really work? How are you feeling? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to get the word out there. It's small business, but I have a day job.
Yeah.
But the day job is what health insurance, it pays the bills. This feeds my soul, but it's getting there, and trying to get the word out there, and spreading the word for Reiki, sound, and just finding the community. That's the most important part, So I follow a lot of people out in LA with their sound, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Just because I know it works, and if everybody can take a little bit of that, the world would be a lot nicer.
Absolutely.
So
that's why we're doing what we're doing too.
Yeah.
And just even over lunch, we were talking a lot about ancestral wounds and the things that we carry from generations, and by doing this kind of work and by taking care of yourself, you're literally stopping the trauma, for the future generations.
And multiple generations.
Yeah.
Who even knows how many generations you could be affecting after that.
Yeah. So it's important.
And 10 years ago, meditation was, the up-and-comer, and it was still very considered woo-woo. And so it's exciting to see that Reiki is now sort of surfacing a little bit more, and communities are growing, and people are becoming more receptive to it, because who knows where it's going to be in 10, 20 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope so.
And what an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of the very few therapies I found that you go in and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy load on your body.
No.
It's you will receive the benefits where you need it, because the energy knows where to go.
Exactly.
And that's a really hard thing to explain to people who need to understand why things work the way they do, myself included.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to circle back around to it just knows.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you feel it.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And that's the thing. Once you start, you get hungry for the next session, because how high you felt afterward. There was no describing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get dehydrated, and you get literally, one of the sessions that I had in the past when I started, it was wow, where was I? I felt like I was on a different planet. A different world. And you're coming, and you come down, you're like, whoa, that was trippy. Yeah. You really feel fatigued, but you were just laying on a massage table. So it's that kind of thing where people don't really understand, where this was something, so there was something so profound and so epic that, but you're fully clothed, it's not something that you're having to do outside. You're just laying there.
Receiving.
Yeah, and that's hard though, that's a hard
Especially
thing for
Western
all of
It's
us.
surrendering, right?
Yeah,
it's a lot
you
of
have
letting
to
go.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's key. You have to permit, and allow things to move and go, and allow things to come in, when you make space. And that's a lot of things, it becomes a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you so
exciting.
much.
And we'll include links to everything as well. Definitely go check Mei out at the Montauk Salt Caves, and she's also on Instagram at Reiki and Soundwaves.
Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Don't forget to rate us.
And review us. Thanks so much.
Until next time.
Music provided by Chromatics, courtesy of the Italians Do It Better record label.